Hello, gorgeous folk. How are you doing? And folkettes, clearly. Today I'm going to talk about being very, very, very ill. I'm talking about me. Okay, I want to share something with you, which is the most bizarre, and I want to know if anybody else has had this experience. I'll tell you all about it on the other side. So last weekend, today's Sunday, so last weekend just before the weekend, on the Thursday, I started to feel a little bit weird, a little bit out of it. Now, truth of the matter is that I'm opening the pool and I've got a few problems. I've got a few leaks in the pool. So I had to go into the pool and dive down to look for leaks. And the pool had water in that's been there all year and I hadn't cleaned it. So I was wondering if that had something to do with it. I don't know. I don't think so. So on the Thursday, I started feeling a little bit weird, like dizzy. I started feeling like I was getting a blocked nose, sore throat and everything. I thought, oh, right, here we go. Now, just so you know, I don't get ill. I don't get ill. In fact, during the pandemic, when everybody was falling down with this psychosomatic, I'm going to be poorly, I said, I'm not. And I wasn't. I wasn't for, I think, 3 years. For 3 years, I wasn't ill at all until I was certain that it was over, and then I was ill for a bit. Okay? It was like my body went, right, it's time now. Come on, we put off this cleansing, time to cleanse. And I do believe that this is what these illnesses are all about. It's a cleanse. It's your body saying, right, we need, the usual flu-y type, cold type of thing. Yeah. Add to that I'm self-employed, and as long as I've been self-employed, I've noticed that self-employed people, myself included, we don't get ill. Why? Because nobody's paying us whilst we're ill, and so we tend just to work through it. You just work through it, but you just tend not to get as ill. It's almost as though when you work for somebody else, your body says, "I'm sick of this shit. I think we need a week off. Let's get ill." Yeah. Or maybe because you're in high stress that you need to cleanse more and it's a big cleanse. That could have a lot to do with it. I don't have a stressful life. And so I don't need to cleanse perhaps as often as somebody who lives and works in a very, very high stress environment. So I started getting poorly on the Thursday night. But I just thought I'll just sit and I'll just, chill out. There's nothing that I need to do. By the Thursday just before I went to bed, suddenly I was taken with, I decided I was freezing. I was absolutely freezing. Now we're in the height of summer. We're in July, the hottest month. On that night, probably in the house, it was 35 degrees. Okay, 35 degrees with no signs of abating. And I was shivering. Why? Because I suddenly developed a really high fever, like mega high fever. And, when the higher the fever, the colder you feel. It's bizarre, but that's what happens. So I said, I'm going to bed. I've got to go to bed. And I went to bed, but I was so cold that I had to wrap myself up in a big, thick blanket. Right. Now, at the moment, we're sleeping just in our underwear on top of the bed, no blankets or whatever. It's so hot on a night time. And I was wrapped up. And I was wrapped up so tightly and I was freezing. I was just shaking like this, shaking. Cynthia would come in. And the next day we took my temperature and it was 39.5 the next day. So God knows what temperatures I reached that night being wrapped up in blankets. But I remember going to the loo. I went to the loo when I came back, I got into a swimming pool. Basically, the bed was a swimming pool. Cynthia had to wash the whole bed linen 2 nights in a row because it was completely like somebody had thrown a bucket over them. I remember waking up really thirsty in the morning because I had a high temperature, because I was hallucinating, but the worst of it was I hallucinated one thing that lasted 30 seconds, over and over and over again. I spent the entire night reliving 30 seconds, and it was the most ridiculous, like a meaningless 30 seconds of having to put a word in a box, right? The same word over and over again. And when I went to the loo, I remember I was saying, please God, give me something else. Please, anything else, change that. Didn't. Same thing, over and over again. When the following day, I couldn't do anything. I was absolutely minging. And I was sleeping on the couch in the morning and then having this same thing over and over again. Like for 3 days in a row, I hallucinated the same thing, which happened to last 30 seconds. I was going out of my mind. I truly was. On the second night, because I thought, well, because it's always the case, I go, I have one bad day, go to sleep. My secret is sleep and you'll get over it. I have one bad day and then it'll get better and better. No, it got worse. And on the second night, I got up. I had a pain, such a pain in my stomach, like really, really hurting. I got up and I thought, I think this is a pain of I'm going to be sick. And I went to the bathroom and suddenly I started sweating. You know, it's like when you're going to be sick. I started sweating and I went dizzy and I fell to the floor. And I was just lying on the floor thinking, I'm going to be sick on my own self. As it happened, I wasn't sick. But the pain was excruciating. And I went to bed and I got into my little hallucination of 30 seconds over and over again and hallucinated. The third day was exactly the same. I was ill, awful. And it went on and it basically lasted 4 days. Never, ever has something lasted 4 days. Even when I worked for the company and I would be ill, it would last for 2 days and I would pretend that it lasts for 4. But I never had anything that lasted that length of time. This one was incredible. It just wouldn't go away. Even now I've still got bits and pieces, but I felt much better. But let me tell you, the reason I'm telling you this is because what I'm aware of is that before I had this, and you know, I talked about it in some of the videos, I was feeling worn out, tired, down, demotivated. I felt like sad about how everything was. I just didn't feel good at all and I had very little hope. I felt a bit hopeless. So then I went through this and when I came out the other side, I felt brand new. Honestly, it felt like a rebirth, like I died and been reborn again. And now I feel great. I've got loads of ideas for videos and for my business and stuff like that. I just feel vibrant and lifted and I feel really happy and I feel really positive about the future. Despite the shit show that's going on, I feel really positive about it. So I don't know what that was, except that it was a cleanse on many levels and it was as much a spiritual cleanse and an emotional cleanse as it was a physical one. And I feel really good. Do I want it to happen again? No, I don't. Would I like to go through that again? No, I wouldn't. And would I like to have that same dream again? No. Thankfully, my dreams have returned back to normal. And so now they are meaningless and without rhyme nor reason, but a bit longer. And I often wonder about dreams, you know, just as an aside. Like, if our mind is going to give us dreams, which it does. Everybody dreams. Not everybody remembers them, but everyone dreams. So our mind gives us dreams. It's capable. When I do lucid dreaming, on the few occasions when I'm lucid dreaming, I can bring about the most wonderful things. I mean, the inventions and the things that I can create and see are incredible. And yet, in my dreams, I have the same old fucking boring stuff happening. Now, I worked for 20 years in my dreams. If I could get paid for the work I've done in my dreams, I'd be very rich. And now I teach Spanish. And it's always the same. I'm going to teach Spanish. I've got 3 classes I'm supposed to be doing at the same time. Impossible. I never get to teach anything and I run between classes. Stressed to fuck. What is that about? And I often think, come on, unconscious mind. You're capable of creating so many wonderful things like, wow. And I just get the same old shit over and over again. What's that about? Do you get the same old shit as well, or do you have varied and beautiful things? Because I get the same old shit, and I'm going to have a strong talk to myself. That's what I'm going to have to do to see if we can get this fixed. okay? Because it's not good. It's not big and it's not clever. Tell me about your dreams and tell me whether you've had a recent cleanse that's left you in a better place or not. I'd be interested to know. I love you all and I'll speak to you all later. Bye-bye.